What is up, risk takers? Welcome to the Kill Pete Strategy. I am Pete. I am a top player in Risk Global Domination. I have a daily release on YouTube, and I'm doing weekday streams on Twitch and YouTube live for the winter. If you are interested in getting better at the game of Risk, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Come along the ride with me. Boy, howdy, do we have a game today? I am playing with SMG Studios, the developers of Risk Global Domination. They have graced me with their presence, and I believe we will see who stands. There will be only one player, world domination, who will take it home. Hello, guys. How's everyone doing today?
Good. Yourself?
Awesome. I'm very excited about this game, and I'm so grateful that you guys would spend your time with me. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.
If we are ready to start. After I send out some cool lobby emotes, these are brand new, eh? I'm using touch controls. That's awesome. All right, let's go.
Good luck. I'm gonna need it.
Yeah, good luck, folks. So a couple of things are new. So we've had update 3.10. So as you guys can see, there is the now ability to emote in the lobby, which is super awesome. And another fun thing, not quite yet available for release, but very soon will be. Folks, you guys can check this out. We have Kill Pete Strategy, Reggie and Jerry Dice. Look at this.
Looking good.
I love it. Little Reginald sleeping there on top. Pretty cool, guys.
Yeah, your cats are so cute. So that dice turned out really awesome.
I think they did. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to do, because you guys are giving us generously this bit of time, I sourced a bunch of questions on my Discord because you know how the Risk community is. There's a lot of passionate, invested people, and they have all sorts of questions for you. And if that is okay, we can go into some of them.
Yeah, let's do
fire away.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
So, the first question I have on the list is, can we discuss having the camera animations on as a default?
Yeah, it's possible. With this kind of idea, we like to see majority consensus from players. As a funny balance between adding things to risk, but like not overcomplicating the game.
So is there a way to incorporate a default without making it more complicated, basically, is what you're saying?
We already have lots and lots of settings in the game, and we're actually working actively now to try and improve the onboarding experience for new players, as well as for adding enhancements for the more experienced players as well. So anytime we're going to add an extra option to the game screen, you have to evaluate it carefully. We've got to balance the new, the experience, as well as all the other features. And we do get quite a lot of feature requests as well at the same time. So it's all a balancing game that we have to do. But yes, it's technically possible. It is in our list of enhancements to look at.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's actually something that segues nicely into another thing I wanted to ask you guys about. Is the I understand that there is very real risk to pun intended to complexity creep. You don't want your game to be so complicated that it turns off a newer player. So trying to strike that balance between more options for the invested players and then simplicity and ease of functionality, I imagine is quite a difficult needle for you guys to thread. Are there plans for new game modes in the works?
Yeah. Absolutely. We really want to we definitely want to introduce new game modes. In fact, I think most of our current most of our current game modes sort of originated as community ideas or ideas from within the team that had been added, and it's something that we're constantly thinking about. Like, the idea is to sort of continue to keep adding new content for to benefit the longer term players, to keep it fresh. And we've got a pretty big list of ideas and things that we're constantly trying to decide which would be the best to implement. And again, like, a lot of it comes down to what we think could make the most sense within the game, or that the community would appreciate the most. Like, we've got at the moment, like, some of our ideas are things like secret missions, game slots.
Hey, thank you for the gift subs
like
there.
speed risk.
Thank you so much.
Faster risk and things like this. But a lot of it comes down. A lot of it, when it comes down to assessing which ones we think we can implement, it comes down to which do we think the community would appreciate more. And some of them are sort of limited by the current multiplayer system, which is a big piece of work we're working on this year, which is overhauling that.
Yeah, and I heard that, or rather, I read in the notes that you're also looking into working on the connection. So what can you tell us about the multiplayer? Yeah, what can you tell us about the upcoming improvements?
We're rewriting it completely from scratch. Originally, when it was the game was released, multiplayer was an add-on. It was a single-player game, and we thought, hey, why not do the multiplayer stuff? Since then, as we've been developing, it's restricted us more and more in what we can do, and we keep coming out with these ideas. They're great, they're wonderful, but hang on a minute. And so we have to think of it from start with a blank piece of paper, and we've been starting from there. But again, mixed with all the other development we've got to do, we've got to keep the game live, active, and growing at the same time. So it's taking its time, but we want to make sure we get it right. So, it's going to be written from the ground up, basically. We'll start again. The main aim is to make sure that we actually have totally accurate data all the time, so we know exactly what state users are in. That will help with things like cheat detection, working out who's colluding with someone else, hopefully. Maybe even the idea of being able to show you the games that you've played move by move. While we have that information ourselves, it's never... there are holes in the data sometimes, just by the nature of the multiplayer system we're using. We need to plug those holes before we can actually reveal to everybody what we can do, and what moves you played, and so on.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic, because those are two other things that I hear a very common refrain from the community about is, what can we do in regards to preventing collaboration, and also would it be possible to get replays or even the ability to spectate games that you're not actually a part of?
Yep, that's all part of the plans.
Amazing.
We're currently actually developing a small prototype. It is the good old classic game tic-tac-toe, but it's small enough that we can sort of experiment with some ideas, and that includes already having a view option, so you can actually view someone else's game. And we're also looking at, another topic that gets raised is the ready-up process. So we're using this at the moment to see, do we do anything with the ready-up? We're not promising we will on initial release. The idea of the multiplayer system originally is just to get the connections all more solid, and if something fails, to be able to recover your game state. So the worst state is sometimes users have lost their games, unfortunately. We want to make sure that never happens again. Although never in the computing terms is a tricky word to say.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that users can carry on a game that they've been playing in the past. And from then on, we've a whole host of ideas of what we can do with the system. When we have control, we can do a lot more.
So you see me here sending out alliance requests in the game. And one thing that I don't know if this is on your radar, but if there was a way to have alliance requests expire or timeout so they could be resent later, or maybe even some kind of chat log, so that in case a message between allies is missed, are these ideas that are on your radar as something potentially to be added?
Yes, this is kind of might hear this a lot, but like it's a balance between kind of this because this multiplayer work is so big. Kind of have to look at compartmentalizing, and our team's quite like not that small. You have half the dev team here,
Yeah.
basically. So we don't have that much capacity to look at every single request that comes through from the community, but definitely things that that are really like highly requested. Obviously, we look at the risk ideas in Discord, and we look at what's like really upvoted there. So we use that to get a kind of general consensus of what ideas are like really important to a lot of the community, and if we can kind of gauge that, then we also kind of can use that to pick and choose like what things might be feasible like in the short term and what things are like longer term improvements.
Yeah, I love that. That's kind of exactly what I was trying to do with these questions, right? I'm actually less interested in broadcasting my own opinion than I am to try and get a more or less representative sample of what the entire community wants. Because I just think long term that will benefit the game. That will benefit Risk in a lot more of a real and deep way.
Yeah, for sure, because you guys are kind of drive the whole life of the game basically. So it's important to us to kind of get a sense of what things are really important. So that's why we've been looking at putting so much work into this multiplayer thing because we know disconnects are such a pain for like everyone across the board. So anything that we can do to kind of alleviate that is also really important for us.
Yeah. Like I know there's some brilliant and talented people in this community, and we would love the ability to help out in any way that we can. I hope you guys know that that's really a big part of my motivation, why I'm here right now, talking to you guys, right? I love this game and I've fallen in love with the community. So if there was something like, a sandbox mode or a way that we could, build our own little, trinkets and turn the knobs without having to rely on, your precious time, I think that would be something that we would love to see. I don't know how feasible that is, of course.
Yeah. In what way would you do you mean? Because yeah, we're always happy to talk. We're always happy to like get ideas and work with the community as well to help improve the game as well.
Yeah, I think just if you have options to keep the complexity for the new players limited, but the more toggles for the invested player, like if we could control where the blizzards start or where the portals start, I think you could. There's a ton of extra juice you could squeeze out of any individual map, right? Rather than making new maps from scratch, you can essentially build yourself a brand new map just by putting strategically different blizzards and portal combinations intentionally. Little things like that.
It's also
Yeah.
one of the game modes, though, is to help change the variety of the games you can play on the same maps that we currently have.
Yeah,
I could definitely see us like doing stuff to change some settings in the modifiers. Like that would be possible if the community voted for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
The amount of blizzards and the amount of portals.
I'm happy to do my part to help magnify whatever ideas make the most sense. Okay, question. Can I switch tack a little bit? With regards to the ranking system, when will we be seeing next steps towards improving the system? I know we had in the last year we've had the decoupling of 1v1s from the free for all ladder. So there's two separate ladders. Will we see a change in the way that skill points are distributed?
At this stage, we can't 100% promise what the next stage is. It is definitely under review. Their plan last year was we got feedback, a lot of feedback, thanks to the videos as well. And there's we put all the opinions together, and we thought we'd have to attack it in stages. So the first clear, simple stage, as you've noted, was the 1 versus 1 and the FFA split. And then there are other options. I mean, like trying to come out with either a ladder system specifically for the more elite players when you're in that Grandmaster phase, or encourage at the same time we want to encourage the new people to be able to rise up any ladders, and we're also constantly trying to think of ideas to get those that play single player to have their own ladder that's a little bit more interesting than just the leaderboard. Is there any way we can encourage that? So there's lots of discussion that goes on. At this stage, we are sort of paused while we see what effect the 1v1 and the FFA split has, while we're concentrating again on the multiplayer side of things. But yeah, this topic will crop up again, hopefully later this year.
That is a fascinating idea. Is this maybe having a separate section just for GMs? Just you saying that gets my mind running in all sorts of different directions too.
Yeah, it's been raised, but don't take anything I say.
No,
it's just giving an idea of everything that we are
I love it.
We're looking at. We're listening. But again, it's development time. It's development time. It's we have we love the audience, the work that we get, the feedback we get from Discord. We also have the others, the newbies that we want to encourage to play, and single player people as well. And we felt last year we were letting the single players down by not giving them their own ladders. So we've got the leaderboards running for single players, so they can actually have something they can talk about and shout about if they want to.
All right. Another thing that I noticed, just with regards to new player, keeping the game friendly and accessible to the newbies, what is being done to help bridge the speed gap between PC and mobile? We often see. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's an issue we're aware of. Although at the moment, I'm not sure if we've gathered like enough ideas of solutions as to approach it. Because so far, like things like a variable turn timer might help, but we wouldn't. Obviously, we don't want to dilute or fragment the the player base by like forcing, say, mobile players to play with other mobile players. So this is something that we'd probably want to get feedback from the community. Like I'm not sure if we mentioned already, but like whenever we plan like a new release, one thing we always do is we look at what our list of top rated community requests are, which is I think my favorite was recently there was a region change in the Japan map. I think Crystal, you did this.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the most like that was one of the most vocally demanded.
I wonder why.
It'd become a meme. Yeah, it actually become like a long running joke.
Yes.
Just to move this number one or two. And
Right.
That really sort of that really speaks to sort of like how passionate some people are about like really specific parts of the game.
Some people.
Yeah. So this, yes. So with features like this, it'd really be worth us sort of polling, asking the community and finding out what they think would be the most fair way to approach the difference between mobile and PC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just on that, if I haven't said thank you directly, thank you. I do love that change, by the way.
Yeah, it is my single. I think it's my single favorite like game patch note ever. I think.
Yeah. Because it's so specific, right?
Oh yeah. And I can only guess at the like hours of frustration and turmoil that's probably behind people wanting that. But while we've got you, like just off the top of your head, what do you think would be the fairest way to handle the difference between the
personally?
mobile
Okay, so I
PC?
think you see there's a delay in mobile. I'm pretty sure that delay exists in PC as well. But the way that I remember there was a disappearing troop bug, and that caused, there was some kind of solution to that, which ended up reducing the speed on both platforms. And I think if there was a way to solve for that without reducing the speed and just let people move as fast as they could move and think, I think long term that would be the best possible world. And I know there's a lot of big ifs there. but just removing any sort of speed limitation on either platform. There would still be a gap, I think, mechanically, but any additional limitation seems like almost insult to injury in that regard.
And there's other. I know this is something that's a lot of these elements of the game might change once we introduce the new multiplayer system this year, and it'll it does open up new opportunities. Like personally, I've always wanted to see like asynchronous play, for example.
Oh yeah,
that's
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a big feature for me. Someone who likes to play. Like one of the biggest advantages of digital versions of tabletop games is it'd take me 6 months to find, to be able to schedule time to get a few mates together, around their lives to play a game in person. But digitally, it's so much easier, setting aside an hour or so. But with asynchronous, you remove that barrier pretty much completely. But so a lot of our networking issues will be sort of completely reset once we implement the new multiplayer system, which is why it's one of our main focuses at the moment. But yeah, it'll definitely be something we'll have to address.
I think being able to play completely unrestrained by a timer is something that really speaks to the roots of the game too.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
On a side note, I'd like to apologize for just missing a couple of turns here. I've lost my little.
I've missed 2 already. I can say
Oh.
that choosing green on this map is not the right move, because when everything pops up in your face to say it's your move, it's green on green, and I've missed it twice until I get the
Yeah.
alarm. You've not done anything for 50 seconds. Hang on a minute. See,
I watched
I'm not
Pete's
crying
video
too
of
much.
this.
I'm not in a bad position.
Yeah, the other night I watched Pete's video of this map specifically to see how good or poorly I'd been playing it. Because most of my best moments seem to come down to just starting grudges with QA. And yeah, so I feel particularly like I should apologize for this terrible performance so far. Like I've just lost that what is it, I've lost the entire region in the middle. Yeah, sorry, never mind me.
I think the stakes are low, guys. Like, this is such a
Wow.
common thread for Risk players, is we get our ego involved in our game. And really, it's like, it's not a reflection on you as a person. Winning or losing, it's just an outcome, right?
We can honestly say you have not got the best team players by a long way from the Risk team from SMG. Our QA guys are the ones you want to be playing. They are, they're really excellent at the game, especially compared to where I am. We just play for fun, or we have to cheat to test all the maps and stuff like that, or check the statistics are coming through.
If you guys know me, I'll take the easy wins if I can get them, so don't worry about that. Okay, so as far as competitiveness goes, I'm sure you might see the super enfranchised players in the Risk community as a bit of an outlier there. But how do you view the competitive Risk scene internally? Do you guys see it as important to the success of the game, or is this more of like an unintended surprise?
We definitely see them as important, because it does drive up. It does sort of create a lot of excitement around the game and for the game, and like it does sort of it is a large part of what builds the community around it. Like people will see, like, for example, your videos, and they'll want to get involved, and they'll want to play it themselves and things, which is really good. I'm fairly new to the team, so I'm not, so I haven't seen a lot of what we've done in terms of tournaments and things, but what I have seen has been really exciting. And in terms of like feedback, you tend to get a very different kind of feedback from like the more the more committed players who are in the Discord, and every time we do a release, we can sort of use that as sort of a barometer to see how people are finding it, like see what the sentiment is, because those are the players who are invested enough to be in the Discord and comment about like things that they enjoy or things they're frustrated with, which is really handy. Occasionally you'll find a bug that appears in the that we'll notice through the Discord first, which is a great anything you can do to spot and patch a bug before it hits like the larger community is really handy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I can't imagine Risk without it. But of course, from a design point of view, there always is that sort of that difficult balance between making the game accessible to new players, that come in and you don't want them to be overwhelmed. You want them to be able to sort of ease their way in and become advanced players, versus the advanced players who want more, sophisticated or more nuanced options to choose between, which is probably comes back to what you've said about the initial thread about more advanced or more specific, more like narrowly focused settings for maps. And hope, if that's something the community really wants, hopefully the fact that we've recently sort of revamped some of the UI to make it sort of like shallower at the top, and then you can sort of drill down into more specific details. Hopefully that's something we can handle. And there we go. I'm out.
They sniped you when you weren't looking.
Yeah, just get me rambling and just take my legs out from under me. Well played.
Well, so
Who was
another way that that I see the game really evolving to the next level, coming into its own, is the community of content creators. I'm extremely proud to see a lot of work that I've done in that regard to help build up not only my own work but my friends as well. Really starting to pay off now. You go on Twitch, there's almost always someone streaming Risk. I see you guys have added the little Twitch button in the game, which is super awesome. What else have you been thinking about with regards to maybe helping those of us who create content and doing what we do to promote the game?
Well, we're super keen. Well, we love seeing all the community stuff because it really kind of helps keep the game alive and keeps the community active. So that's really cool to see. And in terms of what we want to do, well, we've been trying to kind of ramp up what we do with the community. You can tell from like oh God, I can't multitask. You can tell from like stream and like what you mentioned before about the Twitch button, and you've been trying to work with like community artists as well for things like map packs or like Discord art to celebrate. So it's also a bit of like what the community as well wants to do to work with us, if you get what I mean. Like we're always happy to take ideas as well for how we can collaborate with the community. So
awesome! I am here for that. Please use me as you see fit.
yeah.
Well, no. So the thing that I have heard you say already with the ability to spectate, I think would go a long way in really big, tournament finals, tournament semifinals. The ability to broadcast games without having to rely on Discord as an intermediate step. And then, of course, also I've seen the in-game announcement for the tournaments as well. So all sorts of good steps that I am grateful to see.
Yeah. With the tournaments, we'd love to see that. Well, this is obviously far-reaching as well, but it would be lovely to kind of get more, to be able to publicize that more as well and promote that, because it is a cool avenue for players to kind of get involved with the community and also kind of upskill and make friends as well. So yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it'd be really amazing to see if in the future if we had the possibility of things like spectatable, if that's a word, tournaments and things like this, and like like two streamers playing each other, and people can just straight up spectate in the game. That'd be fantastic. Oof.
Oh wow!
GG.
Hi.
Robbie.
Was a bit of a
I'm
feed
sorry.
there.
Yeah,
Yes.
come join me on the
I feel
bench,
like I
Robbie.
let that happen.
I saw that one coming, unfortunately.
Yes, it was a bit of a feed there.
Yeah.
Oh no!
You can't have 4 bonuses. Come on. The green. Unbelievable. Give me something, please. Okay, so this one is above my pay grade, but it definitely tickles the math people in the community. So, does the code for balance splits resemble the published code in GitHub? And if so, would it be possible to document changes to balance config parameters in the release notes?
The code on GitHub is 100% accurate to what you're playing right now.
Awesome.
We did it for, we published the code to quell the rumors about, AIs are cheating, or we're favoring grandmasters, or grandmasters would say we're favoring the newbies with the dice rolls. We got comments every single direction you can imagine about how the dice rolls were rigged. They are definitely not. There are two systems in there. One is true random, as random as computers are. If you want to get technical, we can argue they're not 100% random. They are random number generators, but they are random enough, certainly more than enough for a risk. And everybody has exactly the same system running. Some of the evaluations for the actual calculations of balance splits are not there, but our aim is to show that it is fair to absolutely everybody. And it hasn't changed since that was published 2 years ago. We did a check before the stream, so we can definitely say that.
Awesome.
We're not diddling anyone.
So another thing with regards to balance splits. Oh no, I think I'm done. Oh, you're not even gonna finish me though?
Oh wait, I can, can't I?
You could have.
Oh, wow.
Another thing with regards to balance splits is, are there plans to optimize the slider to maybe help automatically solve for the downside of balance splits, which is losing additional troops?
Again, it's a feature request we have in our list to review. Again, it's another topic of the newbies, such as myself, who are not really great at the game, just want to be able to hit that balance splits button and move on.
Yes.
Whereas the more experienced they do want that finer tweak. We could argue that if you really want the finer tweak, drop out of balance splits and go to manuals. It will take you longer to play. But if you really want to be the purist, we still have the pure option there for you to play with. On the other hand, like I said, we have that as an enhancement list. It's like everything else, balancing the time we have, the complexity of the game, introducing new players. Even introducing new players to the difference between balance splits and true random in itself is part of our looking at the onboarding system. Where do we introduce this? Are we adding additional confusion? Most players will want balance splits because it's just, it's fairer. Or it feels it. You're just knocking off those little edges, but it's a question. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, but it falls into the pile, unfortunately, of the hundreds of enhancements that we would love to do.
Yeah, and that's just talking with you guys, giving me so many ideas. So like the brain is moving faster than I can possibly say. But like to your point about manuals, like just having the option maybe to manual without animation, so we could do that quickly, right? That would be another tweak that I think the option of maybe a cosmetic version, right? All animations on versus a simplified version would be something that could potentially be very well received. Another thing that players, I think, are asking for, and we hear a lot of, is the shop. The way the shop rotates. You hear someone say, "I've been waiting for the dabbing general for months." Is there? Will we ever have a full shop? Are there plans for something like that?
We've got no plans to do this immediately, but like all things, like it's not off the table if it's something the community really wants, especially if we have like a clear vision of exactly what it is that they want about it. Like, do they want, would they want to a full shop with new items cycling in, or is it just like the speed of iteration or the duration?
Again, some of this comes back to the complexity of the. We tried to get the shop to, feature a rotating variety of items which are there, and then people have requested, can we buy the dice? So now you have the option to go and view all the dice. You can view all the avatars. That's slotted very well into the UI that we had. We've got a UI designer who's constantly on top of making sure that it's a usable and developing how we do promote these kind of things. The dice and avatars slotted very well into the profile screen. Same with troops now. We've managed to add that. Other bits, not so easy without making the shop actually even more complicated and overwhelming how it works. And when we originally did the shop, it was just scroll, 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 scroll. And we had to say, no, we can't do that. That's just not usable. And that's where we came out with a sort of rotating idea. So that's where we're at the moment. As you said, no definite plans for reviewing or improving the shop, unless an opportunity came up to, that we saw in the way we developed the UI to actually make it easy for users to buy things.
Okay.
We're not purposefully hiding or stopping or trying to prevent people from acquiring items in the shop. No.
Right.
We're just trying to make sure it is accessible and usable.
And by virtue of that, there is some necessary limitation.
It's like a lot of the things. There's complexity versus an UI argument. We could put absolutely everything in the shop. You'll be scrolling. I mean, it's 200 and something items, nearly 300 options you could look at, and that'll be a lot of scrolling. So at the moment, we do have the rotation system running.
Okay. And that is the answer to that one. So I hear a lot of people maybe a kind of intermediate solution, something like the community could ask for. We really want these ones, or maybe you have some sort of sales data that indicates that certain things are much better sellers, and by that rationale could be populated in the shop more frequently. I don't know. This is just things that pop to my head immediately.
We do monitor all that kind of thing.
For sure. Okay.
I mean, if it appeases you, one of the things we had originally was a 7-day rotation on those items. We reduced that to 3 days, and very quickly we got it down to 1 day. The idea was, this is how we develop and progress. Is originally we thought we've got to give users time to actually come into the game to find those items to buy them, and then people wanted more, so we'll increase it to 3 days. Not fast enough, we'll increase it to 1 day. So now you've unfortunately got to log in every day just to check if your item is there. But yeah, we do listen, we do develop. That's where we're at the moment. It may change again, but that's where we're.
Well, it doesn't appease me at all. I'm the guy who buys everything, right? But I know there's a lot of people who want, particularly because communication is limited too, right? Some of these emotes have very useful meaning, like these ones are very popular, right? In tournament play, because if alliances are off, how do we indicate I want to be your friend? So those fist bump emotes tend to be the way. And of course, the thanks always works too. But whenever you just want that little extra bit. Well done by Lucy, huh? Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that. To the surprise of nobody, I'm sure. Lucy with a dominating performance. Okay, folks. Who has another game in them?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, we're good.
I can't do any worse.
Amazing. Well, there you are. Perhaps maybe something on Classic?
Yeah.
Just so that that can appeal to. I bet you this hasn't changed, but just to satisfy my own curiosity, what is the ratio between Classic map and every other map? It's like 2-to-1, right? It's 2-to-1 Classic versus everything else. Yeah.
It's a lot more.
It's even more than that.
A lot more.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember the numbers recently, but yeah, massive. Some of the numbers are actually surprising because we have more single player games than we do have multiplayer games. But most of the feedback we get is on the multiplayer side as well. We also get a lot of newbies as well as experienced players. Like I've mentioned several times, it's balancing everybody, keeping everybody enthralled. We love what the streamers do. We love the feedback on the community from Discord. But at the same time, we are aware there are quiet players who just want to play this on the train on the way to work in the morning, and that's all they want to do.
Yeah, and then those are the players who are the hardest ones to have their voice heard because they don't speak up. So we kind of have to guess most of the time what they want.
Yes. Yeah. We try and solicit that as well.
No, it's always interesting to me to look at any given set of lobbies that are open at any given point and just how much Classic Fixed really is played versus every other game mode. We're doing a Classic Progressive here. Just because I know the potential for a stalemate is all right. Everyone's in. Let's go. Let's go. I do love these emotes in lobbies. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome addition because that was one thing where I know folks. I'm sure you guys hear a lot of feedback. Just like, hey, I wanted to play a 4-player game, and then I find out that he throws in 2 bots at the last second. And at least this way, people who do that would have no mystery. Oh no, Lucy! We're gonna restart for Lucy.
Oh no. Yeah.
Okay, let's restart for Lucy. People who do throw those bots in at least will get some feedback for why their lobbies might not be firing. All right, this time we're gonna get Lucy to ready up. Okay, in addition to the tweaks for the dice slider, has SMG considered a troop splitting slider for fortifies? Like, we can see some Capital Conquest games that get into the thousands of troops, and unless players like me have a scroll lock on their mouse wheel, it can become extremely time consuming to split large numbers of troops. Is that something that is on your radar?
It honestly falls into the same answer as the other one. Yes, it is noted.
Cool.
It's another complexity versus demand balance that we have to do. Sorry, we can't say much more than that.
No, quite all right. Quite all right. I get it.
We actually have a list of the top 10 requested items. We're from Kira keeps track of all these items, and each time we come to we've got development time to move on with these. We'll actually go through the top 10 and say what can we do this time, or what has to wait until a bit later.
All right, guys. 3rd time's a charm.
Oh, sorry, I was talking.
I know. I'll do it.
We'll get there.
But yeah, so
all right, focus, folks. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, clearly we're better at focusing on one thing at a time. So
that makes sense. I'm not trying to overwhelm. Okay, ready up. Yeah. Ready up.
We're all there.
Please. Yeah. Thank you. So you just you said you have a list of the top 10 requested. Can you speak about that? Is that public?
Most of it has come from either Discord or other surveys we've run.
Okay.
And it's not just the top 10. Like it's basically we have like all the feedback that we've gotten from everywhere that people give us feedback, including like support tickets and things. Like when we're managing the community, we'll see if we find like a common thread of similar or related issues that people have complained about, then we'll put them in this list, and we'll sort of weight them based on like how many people it's affecting, or in the terms of community feedback, how many people vote for it. And sort of every release we try and as a team sort of go through that list and see like if there's things that we think would fit into this that people really want, which is, it's just sort of become part of our process. So so if you do give that feedback, we will see it, and like if we can, we really will action it.
So what are the top 10 ideas today?
Kira, do you have the list? Do you have the
I
list?
don't have it handy on me, but you can see it all in, I think, risk ideas in the community Discord. If you just go through that, yeah, literally that's kind of what we look at reviewing the most. Occasionally things come through like support tickets as well, and if we can look at the frequency of that, but I don't have that handy.
Okay. So check out risk ideas on the main Discord, folks, if you're not already there. Because, hearing it from the devs, this is our source. This is our mechanism for interaction. And just like we've seen with the Shikaku bonus in Japan, if there is a way for us to have our voices heard, this is the mechanism. And that's awesome, right? I think it is really, I'm grateful for you guys that there is a way that this passionate community can voice their ideas for improvement. I like that a lot. Drew is telling me I should show off my dice again, folks. I'll have to manual roll on my turn. For the new folks in the chat, there are brand new perfection in honor of the two gentlemen, Reginald and Gerald. Hopefully for me, they always roll sixes, but it's really cool to see my my kitties immortalized in risk dice. I never would have expected that kind of impact would have been something that I would have resulted in, but here we are. I also like going last.
We should clarify, of course, your dice have exactly the same accuracy or randomness as any other dice.
I was making a joke. I was sorry, guys, to qualify this. I was making a joke about them being rolling sixes as opposed to. Oh, I know. I'm sure you hear about this all the time. People are like, "Oh, I got rigged dice, blah blah blah." It's like, did you though? Did you?
A few years ago, we even attended a developer conference about the response to the dice rigging saga that we have. It's been around for since the game started as a multiplayer game.
Okay.
So yeah, we did a conference about how we came up with the balanced Blitz and what we do, how we respond. But we have something like 700 million simulated dice rolls per day, very approximately, throughout. Those are the ones that we know about. Single player games that don't get reported to us, we don't know about. So about 700 million. So if you do the math, someone somewhere around the world every day will be rolling 10 sixes in a row. And someone somewhere will be rolling 10 ones in a row.
Yeah. And it really feels bad when you're that someone rolling the ones, but what we know about probability,
it's impossible. Yeah, that's it. Everyone will say it's impossible to get 10 sixes in a row, but you roll 700 million dice, you should, according to statistics, get those, get that result.
Well, human beings have such bad intuitions with probability, right? That's another one of the things that kind of helps distinguish top players in Risk is their ability to parse the potential probability of any move.
Everyone hates stats at school, don't they?
Like, we're just bad at it. It just doesn't necessarily meet our intuition. When you see something like 10 ones in a row, your conclusion is, well, that's impossible. It's like, no, it's not. It's just very, very unlikely.
That's a very difficult trait to sort of overcome. I remember one of my favorite strategy game development anecdotes ever is a really old talk Sid Meier gave, where he sort of asked players when he was making, I think it was Civilization, one of the earlier versions. He asked them asked people how often he thought they should win a 50% chance encounter, and they said 75% of the time. There's just not that much you can.
Yeah, well,
it's
it's just like the same
can do
that stat about how most people think they're a better than average driver, which is just not possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think still to say one of my favorite anecdotes I heard about the company when I started was that there was some argument about whether the dice were rigged in the community, and someone decompiled and reverse engineered the app to prove that it wasn't, just to win an argument in a forum, which is just a bizarre thing coming in fresh to hear. But it sort of, I guess, it goes to sort of show.
That doesn't surprise me at all for Risk players. That doesn't surprise me one bit. It's like I
There you go.
did
nice
I
to see
did
the
6
passion.
hours
It
of
really
math
is.
to prove this point.
Yeah, well, as a developer, that's a lot of work. I've only ever known people to do that sort of thing under very dire technical circumstances. Like if something has gone very terribly wrong, to have to do that. But it just goes to show, just how hot a topic this is for people.
Well, you'll take my self-deprecating joke for what it is, but what kind of mental illness do you suppose it takes for a person to make a video on YouTube daily for more than a year to try and teach people how to play a certain game mode, and then here we are, right? You can only imagine that. I'm very satisfied to see that the floor, the skill floor for progressive World Dom is much, much higher now than when I started.
Great.
It's what we like to see as well. It keeps us going, the feedback that we get and the videos and the streamers. It makes us happy to see. It really does.
Yeah, and it's something that it is something that sort of spurs us on. Like every time, like we have sort of a feed, like I know in our Slack we have a thread where we just where people sort of share things, like usually little screenshots of things that have been said in Discord or something. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Like the recent UI change, the recent UI overhaul, for example, was a big one. Like we weren't sure how that would go down, so it was really good to sort of see, sort of almost in real time how people were reacting to it. Stu's got a continent finally.
Mm-hmm.
I just remembered something about the dice roll saga that was kind of funny. When I first started working here, I went into the back end for my account and I saw an option that was like, make this account always roll 6s, and I was like, oh, there's no way this does something. And I clicked on it, and then it just like rickrolled me.
Yeah, I did that a few years ago in the game. We had a support member who was just asking, "Can we do this? Can we do this?" I really want to get my back at this person, so I just coded up, and as a joke, all it does is just play the Rickroll video. No impact, of course. There's no way the server can actually impact what happens on the game, the admin panel. They can give you dice, but we can't actually make you roll 1s or 6s.
Yes, but that's what
really got that.
But that's what you would say.
Yeah.
Tinfoil hat time, huh?
Mm.
Okay, another question that I just want to touch on is we now see with the ability to communicate in the lobby, we are seeing good steps in that regard. There's a lot of players I hear from who dislike playing with bots, either through the ready up or through bot outs in the game. So are there any plans to punish or disincentivize players from botting out? And is there a way to address players failing to ready up without including bots in the games?
So the ready up functionality is something that we're like. It's a really it's a topic that we're focusing on a lot, particularly at the moment in our multiplayer system rebuild, because like the original implementation, Robbie knows the history of this better than I, but the current ready up system is there because there's a bit of a gap between when someone will join a game and when the game actually begins. Like especially if you're playing on mobile, you might have joined and gotten a phone call and forgotten about the game for a minute. So that confirmation step, that's why that confirmation step exists. But it is a particularly difficult problem to solve because it means that having sort of a two-step process. You joined your game and then you ready up. it does mean that we have to rely on you being present for 2 steps and how you handle that. But also, if you don't, then there's even more chance. If you don't have that, then there's more chance of you of a player simply being AFK when the game begins. So it is something that we're currently working on, and it's a pretty important priority for us for the new multiplayer system. So we'll probably be proposing solutions when they're more solid, and maybe showing them to the community if we think we have something that we'd want to get some feedback on.
Oh yeah, I would love to talk about that.
Yeah.
Just the idea of improving the lobby design and or ready up process. I have a few thoughts of my own that I'd be happy to share with you guys, as far as maybe putting the ready outside of the lobby. As long as we get perfect information of what's inside of it, I don't actually see that commitment point happening when the game is fired, right? As opposed to, I mean, we can go into it at length like everything else, right? But that's just how I would see it. Instead of putting the commitment go ahead.
We had that coded actually in the Tic-Tac-Toe demo just a couple of weeks ago to see how well we felt that was working, as in when you joined, you were automatically readied up.
Yeah.
But it was like that originally. If you go back to Risk about 2 to 3 years ago, that was how it actually operated. We didn't have the ready up phase.
Awesome.
And we ended up with an awful lot of people dropping out and bots. Now we have a little bit more of the mentality of you hanging around for that ready up button. Once you've played, again, this is a disadvantage. The newbies miss that ready up button an awful lot. So that's why you want to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you know it's there, you're glued to that screen, although we keep missing it because we're talking too much. We're normally glued to that screen waiting to click on the ready up button. You do actually get more people playing and less bots taking over. But how would you like to see it? If someone didn't ready up, would you like us to cancel the game and take you back to the lobby so you can get a new person? Or would you prefer that we just drop the play so we end up with a 5-player game, not a 6-player game? Or
if I were to put my game designer hat on, what I would do in this circumstance is, so giving players perfect information of what is happening inside the lobby, including number of slots that are AIs, including all modes, maps, settings, players, and then just moving the ready to the actual act of entering, and then preventing anyone from leaving. So once you've entered, you can't back out because you've already readied, right? But that presupposes a couple of other things having to be in place in the first, collab prevention and detection, so that people wouldn't want or need to kick players, and also perfect information of what would be existing in that lobby.
When you say can't back out, if you minimize the app on Apple, you're disconnected.
Right.
And so you just do that for 30 seconds, 60 seconds and come back up, and hopefully everyone else has given up on you or the game started without you.
Well, no, but that's what I mean. Like, you would have already committed your rank, so then you would just be in a game as a bot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. One of the things we have been discussing actually for a long time is a reputation system. So you'd actually see not just how many games have been completed, but how many games are you started or you surrendered or dropped out of.
Oh,
things
neat.
Like that.
Okay, that is in the works. Cool.
We need to make sure we have really accurate statistics.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to detect someone that legitimately just dropped out because of a small networking issue.
Yeah.
Or did they? Sorry, it's my move again, so I'm concentrating. Did they drop out because of a network issue? Did they drop out for a phone call quickly and then coming back? Or unfortunately, is there something else in the world that's caused some issue for them? Was it a legitimate dropout or a rage quit?
Yeah, for sure. It's
legitimate dropouts we don't want to punish. Rage quits are the ones that you want to give a little flag to.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, folks, this is a very, very tough problem to solve, right? Because imagine punishing your players who disconnected earnestly. What you end up with is insult and injury, right? It's like, well, your connection is lousy, and then also you're being penalized in terms of a rank context. It just seems needlessly punitive. So I have no potential solution for this problem, but I would be all ears for someone who does, as far as how do you get a fair and accurate punishment for the rage quits without also penalizing those who just earnestly disconnect.
We are hoping that the new multiplayer system will give us more information or more clues as to how they are. But as a tech guy, I actually can't see us 100% resolving that. But once we get it up and running, we'll have the data in front of us and we'll review whether we can get a more accurate gauge or not.
So I know that there was a call for beta testers publicly a couple months ago. Is there anything you can speak about for the beta testing for Risk?
Yeah, so we actually onboarded a bunch of people to help us test 3.10, which was really helpful for us. So we haven't expanded the beta testing for a while. So this is our first time kind of trialing having a bigger pool of testers to draw from, and that was really good. So in the future, we'll probably be doing another call in to the community as well, just to get in on the beta testing. And yeah, so we really appreciate the feedback there. And yeah, if there's anything in particular you want to know, we'll definitely be continuing. And everyone that was a beta tester that's watching and hasn't, I'm working on the rewards. I'll get there. You will receive some stuff for it. But yeah, it was really cool to get everyone in. And we're just looking at continuing to improve that process for the future, just so we can get like an early eye from the community just about any changes that we're making, make sure that it's kind of in the best state possible before we release it. So yeah.
And my okay, we've now reached the end of my sourced questions. I just have two more for you guys, and they're somewhat related. So this one is from Champion Ever, and Champ is a friend of mine, and he is a longtime Risk YouTuber, thought of as one of the very best players in the history of the game. He says, we know that you guys make several games. Which one is the most important priority for SMG? And where do you guys see Risk in 1 year's time?
This is this one's pretty simple. So we do work on multiple games. SMG is a studio, but we do have multiple teams. So like you're speaking to most of the, or some of the development team for Risk, and this, so for us, Risk is our priority. It is our only priority. We've got other teams that are working on other games, and sometimes we'll borrow resources from those resources, meaning humans like artists and things when we need them, and extra QA and things. But for us, Risk is our only priority. The I'm not sure if maybe Kira will know better. I think there's a dozen of us, I think. But it's with regards to what our priorities are for this year, the biggest one is multiplayer. The big multiplayer, obviously. There's a few other things, more minor features and things. I'm not sure if we can announce yet or anything, but we do have an ongoing development plan and a roadmap. And as I said, this is our only priority.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I have this vision in my head of Risk being, as popular as chess, say. And I know it's not a one-to-one comparison. They're very different games, so that's not where I'm going with it. But, a board game that isn't heads up, that is free for all, that occupies this place in like the cultural zeitgeist of, Risk is a household name. I think it's a beautiful game, and I have been, passionately doing my part to kind of help it reach its potential, at least as far as I can see. What do you guys have in the works? What are the plans to help market and grow Risk to reach that potential?
This is an exciting one. It's also sort of tricky for any one of us to answer, but we do have like a big difference between, say, like as you said, like Risk is a pretty old game. Like I'm not sure if anyone's ever mentioned this before, but like Ash, the head of our studio, has a collection in the Sydney office that's got not every single edition of Risk ever printed, but it's got to be pretty damn close. It's more than 40. There's versions from before it was called Risk in different countries.
He showed me La Conquête du Monde. I saw. It's pretty awesome to see. Yeah.
Yeah, every time I'm in like a board game shop or like a vintage shop, if I see an old copy of Risk, I take a little photo and I'm tempted to message it to him to ask him, hey, is there any chance this is one you don't have? But I don't bother because I know what the answer will be.
Already does, yeah.
Yeah. But it's definitely, like the big difference with the digital version of Risk that SMG put out is that we do have flexibility to add new game modes, and while we still have the traditional, the traditional core Risk experience, we do have leeway to keep implementing new game modes, and we've been very lucky with Hasbro that they've been, they've trusted us a lot, as far as I can tell, to implement these new modes and to see where we can take it. So it'd be really interesting. I think this especially would be things like I think I mentioned it earlier. One of the ideas we have that we're working on is speed Risk, like a faster Risk, which will be sort of like how you liken Risk to chess. This would be the Risk what speed chess is to regular chess.
Ooh, okay. So you like only have so
Yeah.
much time to make your moves.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak to too many of the details because I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't know if one prevailing theory of how that would be implemented has panned out, but like I guess in my own personal Stu's head, I just imagine two old dudes in a park with chess clocks, playing Risk very quickly.
Yes.
I'm sure that's not how it'll turn out, but it's how it'll feel to me. But so we're really lucky that we do have this room. With Hasbro trusting us, we do have this room to take it in whatever direction we think that would most invigorate the community. Which is why, again, one of the reasons why like the competitive, like the more competitive players are really interesting to watch, because they're a very different, in the nicest way possible, very different beasts. Than,
No, I
like,
took
so many
the
people
compliment. Yes.
Yeah,
The type of mind required to
Oh, yeah.
find this as something to obsess over. I've loved meeting and connecting with the other top players, because whatever that strange thing is that connects us, there is a common thread of some kind. It's just hard to articulate.
Yeah, especially one thing that's really good to see is how much, I don't know, like how much it matters to people. As cheesy as that sounds, like again, I'm 6 months with the company, but I still occasionally I'll jump into the Discord and scroll back, just looking for memes people have made about obviously relatable in-game moments. And there's always like outlying performances of like people who are just, I think, like a couple of weeks ago when I first heard about this stream, I remember I went back and watched mostly a bunch of your older videos, specifically of the new maps in particular, that we just launched, because we implemented these, and I wanted to, and I played this a bunch with QA and wanted to see how they go. But just seeing how fast some people read this, like how do I put it? Like I don't know, like in one of your streams, for example, you'll be able to keep a constant cadence of sort of giving a verbal account of everything that's happening. So it sort of goes to show like there are, to some people, they really are able to read this like it's a second language, which is probably why I don't play more ranked. Fair.
Well, but the practice makes perfect, right? Like just basic principles of skill acquisition. You do something every day, you're bound to get a little bit better at it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cold comfort for losing to 1v1 classics in a row last night.
Well,
Yeah.
get good, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think this is that ego thing I was touching on at the beginning of the show. Everyone comes into this and they think that their losses are a reflection on them as a person. And that's just one of the biggest lessons I like to try and teach people on the show, is that the more you can separate your ego from any individual outcome, assume the universe doesn't care about you one way or another, and then just evaluate the results. What happened? Okay, I'm going to put together a zombies game. So you want to talk about memes. This is a meme setting, but the community loves it. We call this zombies roulette. Okay, so The meme of this is that the design is basically how to get the luckiest possible settings. And unfortunately, because it's zombies, then there can only be 5 players. But well, that's another one, right? You want to know another big thing from the community is more slots, right? To have an 8-player or a 10-player game would just be
That is something again on the list that we'd love to be able to do. A UI question though, how do we fit this into the UI?
Yep.
A lot of effort, as you can tell, goes into designing the UI for making this work. An awful lot of effort. We've gone through several iterations. You noticed last year the whole home screen change and the way we get you into a battle, trying to make that friendlier. Because originally single player only, and then single player and pass and play only were our only 2 options when we first released the game. More than 6 players, love to. How do we fit that on the screen? If we had an answer for that, we could get on with it.
I forget who came up with these settings originally. I bet you someone in my chat knows. I didn't invent this, by the way, but it's thought of as roulette because every setting is done with the idea of making it as lucky as possible, and you guys will see. You can potentially lose the game before your first turn just by some bad luck, depending on the infections, and it is true random, so anything can happen, right?
That is zombies.
Yeah, this is. I've only played zombies a couple of times, but there's a developer friend of mine in Boston who plays this. He plays Risk almost every night with his son. It's their favorite game. It's a really adorable anecdote. But every time he asks me about Risk, he has to tell me just how unfair the starting, like the starting, as you say, like the starting position roulette is.
Of course, we have to restart there because we missed already. Yeah.
Sorry, you got me thinking. How many zombies have been killed since we released the zombie mode? I was just working it out.
We have that number, don't we?
We do have that. We have that number of the games that we know about and are completed.
It's a very big number, isn't it?
Tens.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to join the game
hundreds
before I
of
carry on looking.
Hundreds of millions, right?
5.
Yes.
Billions, perhaps.
Not just 5.
Yeah.
5.
All right, ready up, please.
Okay, I'm watching.
Okay, we have 500 people watching us on YouTube right now.
Hello.
Seeing as how we've reached the end of the sourced questions, if there's anything players in the chat come to mind that maybe we can just touch on with the devs that they haven't already touched on, right? Like I know everyone has these ideas, new modes, new toggles, everything. More options always better than less, of course, but the caveat there is it has to meet with the functionality. So what can we perhaps get from this audience in terms of questions that maybe we haven't gotten to with the devs here? Oh boy, this is quite a start, isn't it? Zombies.
I don't see how you can possibly win this game.
You gotta get lucky.
How do you feel portals helps zombies?
So the portals are unstable and it's fixed zombies. So because players can't really establish a bonus because the portals keep shifting and you're going to inevitably butt up against one of your opponents, as soon as the portal shifts, then the zombie stacks get larger and larger. This is a very hostile environment for the players. Oh, we got a question for the fans from Ash. Who likes bigger maps? Who likes smaller maps? What do the people want? My intuition here is that smaller maps are more favorable for 1v1 play, and then larger maps, bigger. I like bigger too. That would be my personal pick as well. Everyone's saying bigger. Can we select blizzards? Yeah, well, that was another thing. Have that sort of sandbox mode where you can, customize your games. Just get as much value out of the existing structure without having to build new.
That'd be an
Sure.
interesting. It'd be interesting. Oh, sorry, you go, Crystal.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, we currently, like, our debug functionality allows us to just individually place portals and blizzards and stuff, and wonder if we could just shift that across to being a
It'd be
phase in a mode.
yeah. I'd find it tempting to to brand it like a dungeon master kind of thing, where the hosts,
Ooh.
for example, when they begin, like like when you do manual placement, for example, there's sort of a stage where all the players click to select territories. It'd be interesting to see, just spitballing, like if you'd have like a first step where the DM or the host, sorry, see, I'm already doing it, where the host would be able to place things like this.
Yeah, and I think that would come in so handy for the competitive scene too. You would end up with the ability to have perfectly uniform tournament settings, right? Everyone plays the same map, mode, and also Blizzard portal combos. That's just where my head goes with it.
Yeah,
Or maybe we could do something like having a random seed that everyone uses. It's exactly the same. We just like
true.
you have
Makes me think.
across the
Yeah.
tournament.
Makes me think of in old old table like Warhammer games, for example. Sort of the courteous thing to do was to have players take turn placing scenery, so that so that neither is placing scenery that's too advantageous for them. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the zombies go ham. Oh! It's a very,
wow.
very hostile environment for the players by design.
Yep.
And the portal's open too, so the zombies can roll through.
No one said it'd be easy.
For anyone curious, we have killed 694 million. Wait, what is this number? 69. Okay, I can't read. 694 million,
I put a comma.
6,860.
Sorry, I put a comma obviously in the wrong. Let me find the actual numbers for you.
6 billion,
That's
6 billion,
that's
946 million, 8,816,000, no, and 130, something like that. 6 billion, almost 7 billion zombies to date.
Of course, Chad is focusing on the fact that the number begins with 69.
Yes,
of course. Billions, yes.
Seven, all right.
Huge zombie numbers, enormous, stupendous. Yeah. Oh man. Well, it's very cool to see that that the love of the game is alive and well with you guys. That really means something to me. I know it might be a little bit odd for my viewers and for you guys at SMG to notice that there's a guy like me who's so passionate about this that I went on a quest to make TV for the game. I went on a quest to be the best player I can be, win a world championship, XYZ things that I've done. But it just goes to show that, if you take something seriously, even something that might appear silly to others, and you put all of your heart into it, who knows what can happen, right? I've had such a crazy journey in this game already, and bearing witness to the fact that the more I give, the more I get. I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful for you guys for making this game that we all love. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're also proud of what we've done, and it's like we said, the feedback that we get. I mean, a couple of years ago, you all remember what happened around the world. Just seeing the numbers of people that we kept entertained through playing the game. We in my head, we're saying we're not doctors and nurses helping, and nowhere near could we be that. But at least I could have a small smile from the fact that we were helping some people play, keep themselves entertained during a tragic time around the world. It's just those things like that that just keep us smiling.
And that's what makes, and yeah, it's really, I don't know, I think players might underestimate how uplifting or how motivating it is for developers to hear how much people enjoy their games, or just how passionate they are about it, because it's the big difference that makes working in games so rewarding, because it matters so much to some people, like some people, myself included, a lot of people are their lives are almost defined, or really heavily influenced by games that they've played as they've grown older.
You want to hear a crazy anecdote? So
Always.
I don't know if this gentleman has reached out to you, but I thought it was so interesting to me. I get a YouTube comment, and the gentleman is, "Hey Pete, I just made GM," and on its own that wouldn't be anything really all that noteworthy. But he says I did it with an eye tracker. So I understand that this gentleman is quadriplegic, and he's made it to Grandmaster in this game using the most limited physical means that he could possibly accomplish. I just think it is, a testament to the tenacity of this person, but also what you were just mentioning, that this game means so much to so many people, and it's hard to underestimate how important entertainment can be sometimes.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Isn't it super cool?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Especially especially like it's something that's really important that people really underestimate about online games. Like I know, people who don't participate in gaming or whatever, they see, maybe particularly online gaming, they only see like the hostile parts, but what they really forget is that for people with disabilities especially, that this might be, this is one of the few areas of the world where of life maybe where they can participate just as anyone else would, and excel. Obviously, there you go, like excel even. And it's just, it's incredible to hear that.
Yeah, it put a smile on my face too, and there should be a smile on this guy's face too. Hey Reggie, did you hear the news? You got your own dice in the game of Risk. Catface is unimpressed, but he's very impressed. He's just not super expressive about it. Got your own dice, Reginald. You're a special boy. Yeah, I'm very lucky to have this cute guy.
That's a really unlucky roll.
All right, we have statistics here. Apparently, there are 6,969,643,676 zombies killed. And that is slightly less than the human population of Earth, which is just over 8 billion people.
Yeah, so I was waiting till the two married so we could actually announce that we've actually killed more zombies within Risk than we have the world population. It's slowly creeping up. It's taking time, but yeah.
Can I ask you guys about the upcoming map pack that has been announced? What can you tell us?
Well, we know that the space, kind of the solar system, space sci-fi themed maps are really popular, and we've got requests to do something similar or like more like that around that idea. So if you've been looking at our community bulletins, we've been teasing some of them a little bit, just with the designs. So we're really excited and we're currently working on getting them into the game. So I don't know if the devs want to talk a little bit more about that, but we're pretty keen for it.
Well, I loved the space maps. Spaceport Sigma is one of my all-time favorite maps. So more space maps sounds super cool to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. What how much I can say because they're still being implemented. But something that sort of changed. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the I think the most recent map update with the the sort of electronics and circuitry themed maps, that was the first, because I know it didn't hit me until I read something in the Discord that someone had pointed out that it was a more abstract theme. It was one of the first that wasn't purporting to be a literal map of something.
Okay.
And to see that like people really appreciated that, like I think like internally, like it was during a devs playing with QA sort of play testing internally, that someone came up with the idea of adding that rubber mat and the screwdriver and the screws underneath, making it to make it more of like a literal environment, which was something I never shut up about because it just made the difference for me. I'll never shut up about the the screws changed from wood screws to metal screws. Sort of during the iterations, and I think I think I'm not speaking out of school if I say like the new sci-fi, the new map pack sort of carries that a little bit as well. Like there's some new, like this. I think we're planning some interesting sort of, I call it chrome, like the things around a map, as well.
You can
But
say as much as you want about the new
Oh,
maps.
great.
That's
Oh,
okay.
good. Oh, because like when we have map pack ideas, we've got like an enormous spreadsheet where sort of everyone collaborates with ideas, like puts together their ideas of what they think will be fun, and it comes from everywhere. And some of them are really hilarious. It's how the last map pack idea came out, and this one was fairly educational as well. Again, I noticed, and I think our studio head Ash is cheating a little bit because he's just played more Magic board game, more Risk board games than with all the different varieties than the rest of us. But there have been some older, there have been like some legacy themes of Risk, like some really weird editions that have been printed. So we've seen a lot of different versions of those. So the new map pack will have a pretty cool variety, I think.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I know there's it's the chrome around them, I think, that I'm most looking forward to. It's a small thing, but it's a small thing, but it's just nice to see that little like diorama looking aesthetic around them.
Yeah,
We'll have to wait till we release to see if Pluto's a planet or not, though.
Oh,
Planetoid.
careful.
I know it's so controversial for so many people. Their heart's broken.
Yep.
All right, we're at the home stretch for the show now. I just want you guys to know how grateful I am that you spend your time with me, that you're spending your time working on this game that we all love, that you're doing all of this for the community. I just want to thank you. I'm very grateful. I love this game. It's meant a lot to me over the last couple of years that I've been a part of this community. I never expected to find a place like this on the internet, where I feel at home and I'm able to connect with so many brilliant people. So really sincerely and truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Let's keep making this game as awesome as we all know it can be.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for being such an active part of the community as well, and kind of bringing forth everything that you have with your content creation and building your own community just around Risk. It helps us keep the game alive, and it helps kind of bring the community together as well.
Thank you, Pete.
I love it. How could I not, right? As I said to you, everything I seem to give, I get in return, and then some. So it's easy for me to do this. I think I let the zombies
We're just watching
in the door now.
So we just gotta watch you defeat these zombies, or
No,
otherwise now we're all out.
I think I just got a bad roll. It might be over, folks. It might be all over. Oh man. Okay.
Although that's how I feel every time I play. I'll blame the dice. They're always against me.
Yeah, this is what I'd like to do as well. Let's see if I just have enough juice maybe to smack them. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Let's go. All right, folks. Thank you so much, SMG.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to get your voices heard, I'm so grateful that SMG would spend their very valuable time talking to us. The Risk Ideas thread on the Discord is available. I know people reach out to me in many myriad forms in the YouTube comments on my server. I'm always available. I'm trying to spend as much time as I possibly can to help do my part, bring this game into its destiny. I hope you all enjoyed the show, folks. Thank you so much, SMG, all of you guys, for doing everything you do. I appreciate you. And until next time, for all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.